Torah. For every place where I cause my name to be remembered, I will come to you and bless you. Exodus 20:24, a reminder that even the earth bears witness to our deeds. Bible. The heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands. Psalm 19:1. Nature itself is a messenger. Quran. Have they not traveled through the earth and observed how was the end of those before them? They were greater than them in strength, and they plowed the lands and built upon them more than they have built. Surah Al-Ghashiyah 88:20-21. History carved in landscapes, a lesson for mankind. The wind carried whispers of civilizations long gone, their stories etched not in the memory of men, but in the bones of the earth itself. Imagine a city once bustling with laughter, trade, and ambitions towering toward the heavens, now reduced to nothing more than fractured stones scattered across a barren land. These ruins, these fragments of time, are not merely reminders of human fragility, they are nature's own inscriptions, silent testimonies of choices made, warnings left unheeded. You see, humanity has always been fascinated with its own power, the ability to mold landscapes, to erect monuments that scrape the skies. But the earth remembers. Every mountain, every valley, every dried-up riverbed tells a story of civilizations that rose, thrived, and vanished, leaving behind lessons far more enduring than any written word. And yet, how often do we pause to listen? How often do we read the signs etched in stone before repeating the mistakes that brought past worlds to ruin? Consider the Dead Sea, its waters heavier than any man could bear, shimmering with a strange salt-laden glimmer. Beneath its placid surface lie the remnants of towns swallowed by their own hubris, their foundations now fossilized in minerals, eternal reminders that arrogance invites demise. Archaeologists, armed with their spades and brushes, uncover shards of pottery, fragments of columns, and charred remains of dwellings, each relic a story of warning. And the geography itself speaks. Mountains framing the sea, the desert's barren stretch, tell of natural consequences that humanity tried, and failed, to overcome. It is easy, in our modern age of steel and concrete, to forget that we are still part of this earth, and not separate from it. Yet the land does not forget. Every floodplain that washes away a village, every storm that topples a city, every fissure that opens beneath human ambition carries with it a lesson for those who will listen. Those who cannot, repeat the patterns of the past, dancing to a rhythm written long before they were born. And what of the people who lived in those lost cities? They laughed, they loved, they feared. They built marketplaces where spices and ideas traveled together, and temples where prayers rose to the sky like smoke. They navigated rivers as arteries of commerce, relied on wells that quenched thirst and nourished crops. And yet, their moral decay, their arrogance, or perhaps their neglect of divine guidance, allowed disaster to creep in silently. Nature, ever patient, watched. Mountains eroded, seas encroached, earthquakes shattered stone. The land became both grave and teacher. As we stand today, tracing the remnants with careful steps, we can almost hear their voices in the wind. It's a lesson delivered not through sermons or scrolls, but through the tangible, unyielding testimony of the earth itself. The Torah, the Bible, and the Quran remind us repeatedly, to heed these signs is to understand our place, our responsibility, and the fleeting nature of power when divorced from humility. In one excavation, an archaeologist brushed away layers of ash to reveal a mosaic depicting men and women gathered in reverence. Around a grand structure, their faces frozen in expressions of devotion and delight. And yet, nearby, remnants of collapsed walls hinted at a sudden catastrophe, a warning ignored. It was as if the earth whispered, "Build with care. Govern with justice. Learn from the past." But humanity, ever distracted, often does not listen until the lessons are written in irreversible consequence. And then there are the cliffs, jagged and timeless, rising above valleys where cities once flourished. From afar, they appear static, immovable. But in truth, they are slow chroniclers of history, eroding inch by inch, storm by storm, each fragment falling like a sentence in a book no one reads until it is too late. They tell of water diverted for greed, forests cleared for pride, and rivers dammed for power. Every toppled stone, every fossilized footprint is a message. Nature observes. Nature judges. Nature teaches. Imagine a traveler standing at the edge of an ancient ruin, feeling the grit of sand underfoot, the wind carrying whispers of people long gone. The traveler sees the skeleton of a once grand palace, the columns tipped over, the tiles fractured. They feel a chill not from the wind, but from realization, this was humanity once, and it could be us tomorrow. The Dead Sea stretches beyond the horizon, an eternal witness. Mountains loom, patient sentinels. And in the distance, desert sands whisper secrets of those who came before. Every excavation, every discovery is like peeling back a layer of time to uncover the profound truth. Nature has always been a teacher, often harsh, yet always just. Cities that defied its balance fell. Empires that ignored its patterns crumbled. Leaders who dismissed the moral laws etched into the very earth saw their worlds dissolve around them. And through all of it, the land remained, not merely as witness, but as reminder, inscribed with lessons for the wise, overlooked by the arrogant. And this is where our journey begins. As viewers, as seekers of truth, we must ask, are we reading these signs? Are we learning from stone and river, from mountain and sea? Or are we, too, dancing blindly to the same ancient rhythms of pride and neglect? Friendly note here. If you've ever felt awe standing before ruins, or wondered how the past whispers to the present, stay with me through this journey. Because what we uncover together isn't just history. It's guidance, etched in stone, waiting for our understanding. The lesson of episode 74 is not merely archaeological. It's moral, spiritual, and deeply practical. As civilizations fell and were swallowed by sands, floods, or fire, the question remains, how do we, son of Adam, avoid repeating those mistakes? How do we allow nature, geography, and history itself to instruct us before it's too late? And while this part barely scratches the surface, imagine standing atop a cliff that overlooks a valley where once a city thrived. You see ruins partially submerged in water, you trace lines of old streets, and you feel a pulse, a heartbeat from the past. This pulse is not ghostly, it is a teaching, a whisper. Listen, learn, change. The moral weight of these landscapes is profound. The Torah emphasizes the blessings and consequences of human stewardship. The Bible illustrates God's glory manifested in creation as a guidepost for behavior. The Quran explicitly invites reflection on past peoples, their cities, and the outcomes of moral failure. In essence, every stone, river, and mountain is a page in a book of eternal lessons. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows over fractured walls and salt-encrusted shores, it illuminates more than dust and decay. It illuminates choices, yours, mine, ours collectively. And the journey of understanding these signs, of learning from nature's patient testimony, has only just begun. The earth itself remembers what men often forget. Walk through the ruins of Babylon, once the crown jewel of Mesopotamia, and you feel the weight of centuries pressing down, not merely in stones, but in the echoes of human ambition. Towering ziggurats, now fractured and half-buried, speak of a society intoxicated with power. The canals that carried life-giving water through the city are now dry, cracked veins in the soil, a silent testament to the cost of hubris. Babylon thrived on innovation, yet its moral decay, its disregard for justice and divine law, allowed it to crumble under the sweep of history. The Torah, reflecting on the fate of mighty cities, reminds us that power is fleeting when divorced from righteousness. The proud will be humbled, and the mighty brought low. Proverbs 16:18. Journey southward to the cities of the Dead Sea, where the remains of Sodom and Gomorrah rest beneath layers of salt and stone. Archaeologists painstakingly uncover foundations, fragments of homes, and ash-stained pottery, piecing together the lives of people who once lived in opulence yet neglected morality. The Bible, in recounting these cities, warns that indulgence without justice, pleasure without virtue, leads to ruin. Nature itself played its part. Earthquakes, fire, and the rising waters of the Dead Sea consumed what human hands had built. Walk along the shoreline today, and you feel the silence of warning, the weight of what was ignored. Look further east to the Indus Valley civilization, whose cities like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa once exhibited remarkable urban planning, advanced drainage systems, and thriving trade networks. Yet despite human ingenuity, their decline remains a lesson in resilience tested by environmental change and societal mismanagement. The cities were abandoned, not by conquest alone, but by a combination of ecological shifts, possibly overexploitation of resources, and the inability to adapt morally and socially to changing circumstances. The Quran calls on mankind to reflect on these very patterns. Have they not traveled through the earth and observed how was the end of those before them? Al-Ghashiyah 88:20. Even the mysterious ruins of Petra, carved into rose-red cliffs, speak to the transient nature of human achievement. Traders once thrived in its bustling streets, caravans filled with spices, incense, and silk passing through grand columns. Yet, earthquakes and desert sands reduced the city to a hollow echo of its former grandeur. Every stone chiseled by hand into the cliffside whispers that ingenuity without moral grounding is ephemeral. These silent teachers, mountains, rivers, and sea, observe, unflinching, waiting for those who will pay attention. Nature does not merely witness human pride, it corrects imbalances. Rivers that were once sources of sustenance become agents of destruction when mismanaged. The Tigris and Euphrates, lifelines of Mesopotamia, could flood entire cities when dams failed or channels were neglected. Desertification swallowed fields that fed entire populations, showing how environmental stewardship and societal ethics are inseparable. The Torah, reflecting on stewardship of the land, warns, "You shall not pollute the land in which you live, for the land will not forgive you." Leviticus 18:25. Consider the Dead Sea's unique geography once more. Its low elevation and mineral density created a natural fortress and simultaneously a mirror reflecting the choices of civilizations. Mountains hem it in, deserts stretch endlessly beyond, and yet, within this serene scene lies an unforgiving truth: disregard natural laws, and survival becomes impossible. The region's ancient cities, some submerged, others reduced to ash and stone, illustrate how human arrogance meets nature's immutable rules. The Quran reminds us, "Did they not see how we deal with the former peoples? They were mightier than them in strength, yet the consequences overtook them." Al-Araf 7:4. Move westward to the Mediterranean coastline, where the ruins of Pompeii still lie frozen beneath layers of volcanic ash. Mount Vesuvius erupted with unstoppable force in 79 CE, burying the city in minutes, preserving frescoes, streets, and even human forms in stone. Walking through Pompeii, one senses the juxtaposition of life and sudden catastrophe. The moral, even thriving societies, masters of trade, art, and culture, remain vulnerable when they ignore signs of impending danger. Nature's lessons, once clear, are often only recognized too late. The Bible emphasizes this awareness. For the Lord seeth not as man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. A reminder that external success does not shield from internal collapse. And yet, the story of ruins is not merely one of punishment. There is guidance embedded in these remnants. Every toppled pillar, every fractured mosaic, every abandoned city offers insights into sustainable living, moral governance, and respect for natural limits. In modern urban planning, archaeology informs water management, agriculture, and architecture. The mistakes of past civilizations, etched in stone, can guide today's societies toward longevity, provided lessons are heeded. Now, shift focus to ancient Mesopotamian ziggurats, whose stone stairways once ascended toward the heavens. These monumental structures represented ambition, spirituality, and the desire to bridge mortal and divine. Yet, over centuries, wind and rain eroded them. Nature reclaimed what humans thought eternal. The lesson is unambiguous. Every act of creation carries responsibility. The Torah repeatedly reminds humanity that stewardship, humility, and respect for the divine order are inseparable from worldly success. Further east, the terraced rice fields of ancient Southeast Asia still sustain communities centuries later. Unlike cities destroyed by hubris, these landscapes demonstrate harmony between human ingenuity and natural rhythms. When humans align with natural systems instead of opposing them, civilizations can flourish across generations. The Quran praises such reflection. Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth and the alternation of night and day are signs for those of understanding. Al-Imran 3:190. The ultimate lesson: observe, learn, and act in accordance with nature. In deserts where the wind sweeps endlessly, archaeologists discover cities buried beneath layers of sand, like Ubar in the Arabian Peninsula. Legends call it the Atlantis of the sands, yet its fate was clear: overuse of resources, defiance of environmental realities, and moral corruption. Nature, ever impartial, reclaims what is mismanaged. Mountains, dunes, and winds act as silent sentinels, recording history in a medium more permanent than paper or digital archives. Even in regions where water once flowed abundantly, rivers can betray human overreach. The Amu Darya and Sur Darya rivers, lifelines of the Aral Sea civilization, were diverted for irrigation. Fields flourished temporarily, but the sea dried, climates shifted, and populations suffered. The lesson echoes across time: exploiting natural resources without foresight invites catastrophe. Biblical texts affirm the necessity of stewardship. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous. Proverbs 13:22. True inheritance respects both morality and nature. As the sun rises over ruins, it casts shadows that are longer than mere stone structures. These shadows represent stories, consequences, and lessons, waiting for attentive eyes. When a child walks among fallen columns or a scholar studies pottery shards, they encounter not just the past but guidance etched into the very earth, humility, foresight, and reverence for both divine law and natural order. Imagine standing atop a cliff overlooking a valley once inhabited by a thriving civilization. You see the skeletal remains of houses, the riverbeds that sustained life, the mountains that framed the city. The landscape speaks. Remember, son of Adam, that what you build is temporary unless aligned with moral and natural law. Arrogance may reach the heavens, but the earth always remembers. And as modern societies advance with technology beyond imagination, these ancient lessons remain urgent. Satellites may map deserts and rivers, drones may document archaeological sites, yet the principles remain unchanged. Hubris leads to collapse, harmony with nature leads to survival. Nature teaches us patience, observation, and consequence. Its lessons are immutable and universal. Friendly note here: if you are following this journey, take a moment to reflect on your surroundings. The earth is still speaking. Are we listening? Are our cities, our actions, our societies aligned with the moral and natural laws that have guided civilizations for millennia? This reflection is the heart of episode 74, and it is only the beginning. And so, as the wind moves through the ancient streets, across salt-crusted shores, over sun-baked stones, and beneath shadowed cliffs, we hear whispers of the past, civilizations that failed, cities that vanished, lives that ended, yet lessons that endure. Each discovery, each observation, each story carved in stone, teaches us something fundamental. The path of wisdom lies in observation, humility, and reverence, for nature, for the divine, and for the lessons etched in time. As the shadows lengthen over ruined cities, it becomes clear, the earth is not a passive witness. It is a teacher, recording the triumphs and failures of humanity with impartial patience. Every stone, every cliff, every riverbed holds a memory, a lesson, a warning. From the desolate shores of the Dead Sea to the sun-baked ruins of Babylon, from the ash-covered streets of Pompeii to the buried remnants of Ubar, one truth emerges unambiguously: civilizations that ignore moral law and natural limits do not endure. Yet, amid this tale of ruin, there is hope. Nature does not merely punish, it guides. It teaches through cycles of creation and destruction, reminding us that resilience, humility, and respect for both divine and natural law are the foundations of enduring societies. Those who observe, who reflect, and who act wisely can learn the ancient truths that history offers, ensuring that their civilizations flourish rather than falter. Consider the lessons etched into river valleys where irrigation once sustained great populations. The Tigris, the Euphrates, the Indus, the Nile, each brought life, trade, and culture. Yet, when human ambition overstepped ethical and environmental boundaries, the rivers became agents of destruction, reclaiming the land, teaching humanity the limits of power. The Torah emphasizes stewardship and balance. You shall not pollute the land in which you live, for the land will not forgive you. Leviticus 18:25. The Bible mirrors this sentiment. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous. Proverbs 13:22. And the Quran repeatedly invites reflection on past peoples and their cities, urging, have they not traveled through the earth and observed how was the end of those before them? Al-Ghashiyah 88:20. Walk through the ruins of ancient Petra, and notice how human ingenuity harmonized with natural geography. Carved directly into cliffs, the city endured for centuries, demonstrating that civilizations can coexist with their environment if they respect its rules. Yet even Petra shows the impermanence of human ambition without moral grounding. Earthquakes and neglect have reduced much of the city to silent testimony. Here lies a paradox. Ingenuity may endure in stone, but wisdom must endure in hearts. Nature also instructs through climatic shifts and desertification, as seen in the lost cities of Mesopotamia and the Aral Sea Basin. Fields once fertile with crops now lie barren, a stark reminder that resource exploitation without foresight and ethical governance invites disaster. Modern societies can trace the patterns: overconsumption, disregard for environmental signals, and moral negligence echo through the ages. If we fail to heed these warnings, history has already shown the consequences. The Dead Sea, with its mineral-laden waters and surrounding salt formations, is among the most eloquent teachers. Its shores are lined with remnants of civilizations that defied natural and moral laws. Cities like Sodom and Gomorrah, swallowed by catastrophe, are more than biblical narratives. They are tangible proof of consequences enacted by nature and divine order. Today, as we observe this unique ecosystem, we understand that the planet itself holds the archives of human choices. Every salt-encrusted stone tells a story, every barren stretch a moral reflection. Heed the lessons before you. Walking through Pompeii, frozen under volcanic ash, we encounter lives abruptly halted yet eternally recorded. Graffiti scrawled on walls, frescoes of daily life, even the posture of those who perished, each element is a message from history. Here, nature's intervention was immediate, indiscriminate, and complete. And yet, these ruins educate us more profoundly than any text, offering guidance on mortality, hubris, and the fragility of human constructs. But the story does not end with despair. The ruins also speak of resilience, adaptation, and the potential for renewal. Ancient terraced fields in Southeast Asia, carefully aligned with rainfall patterns, continue to feed communities today. Lessons etched in stone and soil show that when human action aligns with natural law and moral responsibility, civilizations can thrive across generations. The Quran celebrates this reflection. Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth and the alternation of night and day are signs for those of understanding. Al-Imran 3:190. Nature teaches patience, observation, and the importance of aligning human ambition with enduring principles. Modern societies, despite technological marvels, remain vulnerable to the same patterns. Mega cities, sprawling urban centers, and advanced infrastructure may appear invincible, yet without moral vigilance and ecological foresight, they risk repeating the mistakes of Babylon, Ubar, and Sodom. History and nature together provide a roadmap. Ignore these lessons, and ruin is inevitable. Heed them, and prosperity endures. Friendly note here. Pause for a moment and reflect. Walk outside, observe the land, the rivers, the mountains. Consider the past civilizations whose stories are whispered in stone and sand. Listen, and ask yourself, are we, the sons of Adam, aligned with the principles that ensure survival and moral integrity? Every action, every choice, contributes to the tapestry of our collective future. The ruins teach not merely what was lost, but how to avoid repeating those errors. As the journey of episode 74 concludes, let's consider one final perspective: the relationship between human morality, environmental stewardship, and divine guidance. The Torah, Bible, and Quran consistently underscore that civilization's longevity depends not on wealth or might, but on the ethical application of power, reverence for divine law, and harmony with the natural world. Nature does not discriminate. It only reflects the consequences of human choices. The wind sweeping across ancient ruins today carries stories of warning and hope. Mountains that once oversaw bustling cities now stand as timeless sentinels. Rivers and seas, once lifelines, are teachers of balance. Every archaeological excavation, every fragment of pottery, every fossilized footprint is a lesson. Learn from the past, respect the earth, cultivate morality, and heed divine guidance. So, son of Adam, as you ponder the lessons etched in stone, remember this: the earth remembers, the skies record, and history speaks. We are travelers in a continuum of civilizations, endowed with intelligence, conscience, and responsibility. The choices we make now, our moral compass, our respect for nature, our vigilance in governance, will determine whether our cities thrive, our societies endure, or our legacy is consigned to ruins for future generations to uncover. And as we close episode 74, let me leave you with this friendly thought. Take a walk among nature, observe your surroundings, reflect on the choices of past civilizations, and consider your own actions. Share this story with someone today, and discuss the lessons it offers. Because understanding the whispers of stone, sand, and water is not just a lesson in history, it's a roadmap for the future. And together, by learning from nature as our teacher, we can ensure that the sons of Adam build societies that endure, guided by wisdom, morality, and reverence for the world around us.